The night it began seemed like any other. The city glowed beneath the rain, neon lights reflecting across puddled streets. Inside a hotel tucked into the hard downtown. However, a story of betrayal and heartbreak was quietly unfolding. Amir had always trusted his wife, Sanaa. For 8 years, he believed they had built a beautiful life together. A warm home, 2 children, and countless memories stitched together with love. To him, Sanaa was the perfect partner, graceful, kind, and devoted. But behind her polished smile, she carried secrets Amir never imagined. It began with late-night phone calls, whispered texts, and sudden trips that seemed unnecessary. Amir noticed, but blind faith and love dulled his suspicion. He never thought to question her loyalty. What he didn't know was that Sanaa had been swept into the arms of another man, Rizwan, a charming talker. Rizwan promised her a life of excitement, wealth, and freedom from the monotony of her marriage. One rainy evening, Sanaa claimed she was going on an overnight conference with a friend. Something in her hurried tone and the way she avoided Amir's eyes unsettled him. He didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, he followed quietly, watching as she walked into a lavish hotel with Rizwan, their hands entwined, laughter spilling as though vows and family didn't exist. Amir's chest tightened, but he didn't storm in. He stayed silent, carrying his heartbreak alone. 3 days later, the city buzzed with gossip. Rizwan had been found in the hotel's parking lot, bloodied and broken. His face was bruised beyond recognition, his ribs shattered, his arrogance gone. Whispers flew. Some said a jealous husband had sought revenge. Others claimed debt collectors had caught up with him. But the truth was darker. Amir hadn't touched him. Rizwan had been living a double life, deceiving not just Sanaa but several women. One of them happened to be the daughter of a wealthy and powerful businessman. When her family discovered betrayal, they ensured Rizwan paid the price with his body. For Sanaa, the news was a brutal awakening. She had gambled her marriage, children, and dignity for a man who was never serious about her. Standing outside Rizwan's hospital room, listening to machines keeping him alive, she realized a bitter irony. Amir had done nothing, yet Rizwan had been punished, and her own heart was shattered beyond repair. Amir, too, carried pain. Sleepless nights tormented him, anger and sorrow clashing in his chest. But every time he looked at his children, he reminded himself he had to remain steady for them. He couldn't let bitterness consume their lives. When Sanaa returned home, she expected screaming, rage, perhaps even violence. Instead, Amir's silence cut deeper than any blow. His disappointment was heavier than hatred. Days passed before he finally spoke, his voice calm but unyielding. "You destroyed everything we built, Sanaa, not because I wasn't enough, but because you don't understand what love is. Love isn't chasing excitement. It's staying when things get hard. It's choosing loyalty when temptation comes. You chose the opposite. And now, I choose to protect myself and my children from more pain." There was no shouting, no outburst, only the steady voice of a man who had reached his limit. Amir filed for divorce, not out of vengeance, but out of self-respect. Sanaa wept, pleaded, and promised to change, but Amir had already given her his best years. He would not risk the rest of his life on someone who had shattered his trust. Time became Amir's ally. Slowly he healed. He poured himself into raising his children, growing in his career, and reclaiming his peace. The scars remained, but they made him stronger, wiser, and more resilient. To those around him, his quiet endurance became a source of inspiration, proof that dignity and patience hold greater power than anger or revenge. Sanaa, on the other hand, lived with regret. Haunted by memories of a husband who had truly loved her and a lover who had only used her, she carried the weight of her choices. Rizwan, broken both physically and emotionally, vanished from her life, leaving behind only shame. In the end, the lesson was clear. Betrayal never brings happiness. Fleeting pleasures can destroy lifelong bonds. But in the ashes of heartbreak, choosing self-respect and inner strength is the path to true healing.